Rain poured over the gas station lot, the kind that made even engines shiver. 3 bikers, leather jackets soaked and helmets under their arms, stopped for fuel on their way out of town. Loud laughter, roaring engines, the scent of gasoline. It was just another stop for them, until a small, trembling voice broke through the storm. "Sir, would you like to buy my bike?" The laughter stopped. The voice belonged to a boy, maybe 12, maybe younger, standing beside a rusty bicycle, its chain half broken, its seat wrapped in duct tape. He looked drenched, his sneakers muddy, his eyes far too old for his age. The tallest biker, Mason, crouched down. "What did you say, kid?" The boy swallowed hard. "Please, sir, you can take it cheap. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The words landed heavier than the rain. For a long moment no one spoke. Behind the boy, a small woman in a faded coat stood by a flickering streetlight, holding her stomach, trying to pretend she wasn't watching. Mason glanced at his crew. These men weren't known for softness. Ex-racers, road wanderers, tattoos that told stories you don't ask about. But right now, all 3 looked the same, silent. "What happened to your dad?" one of them asked gently. The boy looked down. "He left after we lost our house. Some men came and took everything. Mommy said it's okay, but she cries at night when she thinks I'm asleep." Mason's jaw tightened. He pulled out his wallet and handed the kid 100. "Keep the bike, kid. Buy your mom some food." But the boy shook his head. "No, sir. I don't take money I didn't earn. Please, just take the bike." That hit different. The kind of pride you don't expect from someone with nothing. Mason nodded slowly. "All right, I'll buy your bike. But I'll pick it up later, okay?" He and his crew walked back to their bikes, but something in his gut told him this story wasn't over. An hour later, they followed the boy's directions to the address he'd mumbled. The house turned out to be a half-burned trailer on the edge of town. Inside, the mother sat beside a candle, her eyes red from exhaustion. Mason knocked lightly, and when she saw the jackets, the same ones the men who'd taken everything wore, she froze. Her hands trembled. "Please, we don't have anything left." And that's when Mason understood. The men who'd evicted her weren't strangers. They were part of a local biker chapter, one that used to run protection rackets around town. The kind Mason had once been part of before he walked away. He turned to his crew. "It was our old boys," he muttered. "They took her stuff. Without a word, they mounted up again." That night, the roar of engines filled the valley. Mason's crew rode to the warehouse where the stolen goods were stored. Inside, they found boxes, furniture, toys, clothes, even a small red bicycle helmet with stickers still on it. By dawn, the woman's trailer had new walls patched up, groceries stocked, and her son's old bike, now fixed, cleaned, and shining, standing outside the door. When the boy woke and saw it, his eyes widened. "Mommy, look, someone fixed it." She stepped outside and saw a note taped to the handlebars. "Ride proud, kid. The road owes you nothing, but the world still has good people. M." Weeks later, Mason and his crew stopped by the same gas station again. The boy was there, waving at passing cars, but this time with a smile. "Sir," he called, "we bought food for the week, and Mommy got a job at the diner." Mason smiled. "Good for you, champ. Keep that bike running." The boy grinned. "You never came to take it." Mason revved his engine, eyes warm beneath the shades. "Didn't need to. You already paid in full, with heart." And as they rode off into the horizon, the rain started again. But this time, it didn't feel cold, because somewhere between broken roads and broken lives, kindness had found its way back. Mason and his crew didn't ride far that night. The rain had stopped, and the sound of dripping water echoed against the metal roofs of the small town. They parked near an old diner, the kind with flickering neon lights and a jukebox that hadn't played in years. None of them said much. "You think the kid knows it was us?" one of the bikers asked quietly. Mason shook his head. "Doesn't matter. Kindness doesn't need credit. It just needs to happen." He stirred his coffee, staring out the foggy window. For years, he'd believed the road was a place to run from things. From guilt, from mistakes, from the kind of life that makes you forget who you were. But tonight, he realized something else. Sometimes the road leads you exactly where you're meant to be. The bell above the diner door rang, and Mason looked up. The woman from the trailer walked in, hair tied back, wearing a waitress uniform that looked a size too big but carried a quiet pride. She didn't see him, not really. She was busy wiping tables, serving customers, smiling like she finally remembered how. Her son sat at the counter doing homework, his small hands gripping a pencil like he was writing a new life for both of them. Mason smiled to himself. He placed a few bills under his coffee cup, more than enough to cover the meal, and walked out without a word. Outside, his bike gleamed under the streetlight. A single raindrop slid down the chrome as he pulled on his gloves. His crew was waiting, engines humming low like thunder far away. As they rode off into the empty highway, Mason felt lighter than he had in years. He thought about the boy's words, "Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The kind of sentence that should never exist in a world this big, this rich. And yet it did. Maybe he couldn't fix the whole world. But that night, he'd fixed one small corner of it. And maybe that was enough. Miles down the road, the clouds parted. A hint of sunlight broke through, painting the wet asphalt gold. The world looked softer, almost forgiving, and as Mason's bike roared into the horizon, he whispered to himself, "We're all just trying to get home. Some of us just need a little help finding the road." The wind carried the words away, but somewhere, in a small trailer on the edge of town, a boy laughed again, and a mother finally slept without hunger, and that was all the road ever needed to hear.